Chip, I got to send you a copy of this interview I did. Yeah. I did it with the imams of the biggest mosque in Las Colinas, and one of them halfway through just blurted out that, yeah, I mean, we all agree that hands should be chopped off, if you steal.
So how close is Texas to falling to Sharia law? Check out this clip over here with Glenn Beck talking to Republican Representative Chip Roy. We'll watch it together and then talk about what's really being said here. And before we dive in, make sure to hit the subscribe in the corner so we can keep these conversations going.
First of all, I think for anybody who doesn't understand, and Texans, wake up. If you lose Texas, you lose the West. As Texas goes, so goes America. And as America goes, so goes the rest of the world. If you're looking at Dearborn, you're looking at, these places in Minnesota, and you're seeing that, and you think that's not related to you. It is worse in Texas. The numbers in Texas are staggering. And just what's happening in the small little town that my studios are in. It's the most diverse zip code in America, Las Colinas, Texas. And I've been ringing this bell for 12 years. When I first got there, I started doing stuff on the Sharia law, the movement to bring Sharia law to Las Colinas, Texas. And Chip, I got to send you a copy of this interview I did. Yeah. I did it with the imams of the biggest mosque in Las Colinas, and one of them halfway through just blurted out that, yeah, I mean, we all agree that hands should be chopped off, if you steal. And I just let him go for a while, and it was clear Sharia law is happening, and now they have put the Sharia courts into place to handle things. Because, well, it's their right to handle it as a religion. No, not when it comes to usurping the Constitution of Texas or the United States of America. And that's happening now in Texas. So give the person who's not necessarily paying attention some idea of what is coming and is here already in Texas.
Well, first of all, you've got an explosive growth of the mosques that are growing in Texas. We've got over 300 and counting, more being planted in Texas every day than any other state in the union. You've got the Islamic Center down in Houston, which is 150,000 square feet, that has, major issues. You notice you saw that imam down in Houston that was going around saying, well, you can't put this on the shelf. They're trying to take over and change what should be being done down there. That's implementation of Sharia. There are activist Sharia courts in Texas, which the governor rightly yesterday said that they're going to go shut down because they're in conflict with Texas law. Mm-hmm. And notably with what he's doing with the declaration, the governor is making very clear that he can connect the dots with the legislation that the legislature passed with that declaration to say no land interest can be acquired with anybody associated with these organizations. Now, again, I think this is the tip of the spear. I think this is I don't mean this negatively. It's the kind of obvious, let's go after these guys. But there are myriad organizations that we need to go after and shut down. And let's be clear. I don't even know why we're allowing any foreign nationals to own Texas land. Like literally, we need to be very aggressive and very clear. I don't know why massive corporations are owning our land, by the way. Separate issue, but all related. I'm as bothered also by boardrooms in New York buying up our ranches and our meatpacking plants and everything else because, again, this stuff is all related. The Red-Green Alliance, the Marxist Islamic issue, it's all connected to root out and destroy Western civilization. So that is to say what the governor did is really critically important. It is a step so that we can go stop some of these things in these enclaves like Epic City. But we need to be much more aggressive. And again, I introduced legislation, as you know, to vet people for Sharia law and adherence to Sharia law when we're admitting them into the United States. But today I'm filing a bill called the Pause Act to pause all immigration until we have sorted our crap out, until we've dealt with H-1Bs, until we've gotten rid of diversity and diversity visas and chain migration, until we've dealt with Plyler v. Doe, which, by the way, we need to challenge, which was the Supreme Court case saying that we must educate illegal children, until we've dealt with birthright citizenship, until we've cleaned up our mess, until we've put in place standards for not admitting people that are adherent to Sharia law, till we're removing people that need to be removed. Why are we importing more people? Let's put Americans to work. Let's stop destroying our culture. Let's freeze it. In Texas, let's do exactly what the governor's doing and more.
We just watched a clip that should stop every thinking person in their tracks, because this isn't just about Texas alone. It's not about one election and not about care or court case organization. As Glenn said, rightfully so, when Texas goes, so goes the West. What we are witnessing right now is something much bigger. It's actually the polarization of the world. Good is no longer hiding, and neither is evil. For decades, the West tried to blur the lines between right and wrong, between truth and lies, between morality and moral confusion. But that era is ending. Today, the world is dividing again, not by race, not by nationality, but by values. And when that happens, history teaches us something chilling. The West, in some ways, is turning on Israel. And that feels disturbingly familiar, not identical to the 1930s. It's recognizable in spirit. Back then, the Jews were told they were the problem. They were Untermenschen. They were dangerous to have around. They didn't belong. Today, Israel, the country, is told the same thing. But notice something important. Where are most of the Jews today? They're no longer scattered the way they once were. More than half the Jewish people are back in Israel. That has never happened before in history, that a nation should be dispersed and returned to the land. And those who remain in the West are starting to feel it. Across Europe, across college campuses, and now increasingly in America, with the rise of radical Islamic ideology and political figures like Mamdani, and movements that make Jews feel unsafe in cities like New York, New Jersey, many Jews, and Texas. So many Jews are quietly asking a question their grandparents once asked. How long do we really belong here? This is not paranoia. It is pattern recognition. The Torah speaks directly to moments like this, and specifically this moment. In Zechariah chapter 12, it describes a time when the nations of the world will turn against Jerusalem. And it says something astonishing, that those who rise up against Jerusalem will fall, and even the weakest among them will be like King David. Not because of military power, not because of politics, but because history does not bend forever away from truth. The polarization we see today is not random. It's not just cultural. It's not just political. It's biblical. The world is being forced to choose sides again. Light or darkness. Truth, distortion. Ego or God. And the West still has a choice. It can decide which side of history it wants to stand on. Whether it wants to defend values that build it or abandon them. And Jews in the West also have a choice: to ignore the call or to begin asking if perhaps the land is calling them home. We do not know exactly how this ends, but Jewish history has taught us something uncomfortably consistent. No matter how safe it feels, no matter how integrated and assimilated we become, no matter how successful we are, in the end, we always return, not out of fear, but out of destiny, to become one again, a united Jewish nation, representing God, and being Or Lagoyim, a light to the nation. History right now is accelerating. The lines are being drawn. The only question left is not what will happen. It is where we choose to stand when it does. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button. I'd love to stay in touch. Shalom from Israel.